Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Get ready for story time with Adam C, baby. Welcome everybody back to the. What are you shaking your head for?
Nothing. Carry on.
Look, you just come back, man.
I know.
Seriously.
Sorry.
Straight back out of it. Anyway, welcome everybody back to the In the Turnbuckle podcast. I am your host, Adam Cousins, and as you already see, he's back from his surgery, so quickly healed. Welcome back, our leader, Mr. Burrows.
Pleasure to be back. Yeah, it was a quick hiatus, little trip to the hospital for me, but good to be back with you boys. You boys have been doing some great things over the last few days. Honestly, tremendous work. Dave, your podcasting is like you are a pro, sir.
Thank you, man.
I tip my hat to you, and Adam, amazing as always. So good to come and chat some. I don't think I've done a full AEW with you boys yet. So yeah, good to be back. Good one to be back on.
Exactly, you haven't, and of course, our AEW guru, our Dynamite man, Dave DMD, has burst through he burst through the bin door. We've had Smack Dave, Monday Night Robinson, and now we're back to DMD. Hi, Dave, you all right?
I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Raw is Robinson. That got me. That did. I nearly crashed my car.
No, I was just covering for you, mate. I was just trying to, I can't make up for you, mate, but I was trying my best.
Awesome, mate. Honestly, some great pods coming out, mate. Some good stuff.
So, I've just caught my breath back, to be quite honest, before we even start about AEW. We always cover off bits of news that have happened before the show. Me and Dave have just started doing that, Andy, as part of the show. So the first thing was, Dave, just remind us, who was it that got fired this week and backstage?
Okay, BJ Whitmer.
That's it. BJ Whitmer got fired backstage for beating up his wife.
Domestic abuse, yeah. And he was on Dynamite recently, wasn't he? Or was it Rampage? When he was judged for the pure match. So he was involved recently.
Yeah. Just more drama that Tony Khan doesn't really need at the minute. But Jimmy Jacobs on creative now, right?
Yeah.
So he's been hired as creative, so that's a good thing. We been hearing that Dax has been pitching creative. Bryan Danielson's been doing creative. Punk's going to be doing some creative coming up. We'll touch on Punk in a minute. But anyway, other news, Roosh, and that is how you pronounce it, Dave, right? Because the Japanese name. Roosh.
Yeah, that's right, mate.
Has left AAA. Now, this happened on Saturday whilst we were doing the podcast. We got that news, but we didn't air it because it was really late into the podcast when the news came out. This is all to do with this New Japan stuff, right, Dave?
Possibly. So because of AAA, and they've got a massive rivalry with CMLL.
Yeah.
And because they've worked with New Japan in the past, AAA won't let any of their talent work New Japan shows, including Forbidden Door. But that's why last year, Andrade, the Lucha Brothers, and Roosh couldn't appear. They weren't allowed to appear. So it's interesting that Roosh has left, and then he's been quickly followed by Bandido.
Yeah.
So whether that plays into it, it's probably quite a decent payday for them to appear on Forbidden Door. And if they're banned, that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back.
Maybe. Well, the last bit of news was a match for Collision that come out, which again is a take my money match. The Collision showing out to be really good, which is Buddy Matthews of the House of Black and the returning Andrade. Idolo.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great match.
Yeah, an absolute banger. But speaking of bangers, let's start with Dynamite. And it doesn't begin with Orange, Dave. I had to look at my screen twice. So where Orange Cassidy was. Funny enough, he was second. But MJF, Adam Cole, world title eliminator. Holy shitballs was the words that the last few weeks, Dave and Andy, you kind of agreed on the chat we've had that the feud with Jericho just didn't work with Adam Cole. Two great workers, but when you put them two together, didn't work.
No.
You put MJF and Adam Cole in that ring, money.
Yeah, I thought this was brilliant. But it was a pay-per-view level match. I don't know what you thought, Andy, but absolutely love this.
I'm kind of the good thing I like about AEW, because they don't have loads of pay-per-views on a monthly basis. Every now and then you get shows like we just watched yesterday. at Dynamite. If that was on a Sunday, we'll go old school here. If it was on a Sunday night and it was a pay-per-view, I'd be like, wow, did anyone see that pay-per-view just now? It was incredible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact they opened with that MJF match and Adam Cole was tremendous. Me and Adam, we really used to say this all the time back when we first started doing this. If you start a show off hot and you get everyone invested from the word go, then you're on to a winner. Within 10 minutes of that match starting, I was invested in Dynamite. I thought, wow, you could tell the crowd. Washington DC, great place to hold it. That Capitol Arena it's an incredible place to go and watch live sport. That crowd are incredible. I've been there myself. So the crowd were hot. The match was hot. It was it was a great start, man. And the match itself was pay-per-view quality.
It was, and it went to a draw. They had tombstones on the apron. There was there was like a 2.99999 at one point on MJF from Adam Cole. Went to a draw. He asked for 5 more minutes. MJF practically just said no, no more. Where is this going, Dave? Are we looking at All In main event now? Is that going to be him and maybe
possibly? Yeah, there's got to be another match. I couldn't believe that it went to a draw. In terms of, I had to check the 30 minutes had gone by because it didn't feel like I was enjoying the match so much. It didn't seem like it was 30 minutes.
I paused my Fight TV app and it said 32 minutes 33. So obviously when you watch it on Fight, it starts straight away, doesn't it? You have the intro, then you have the ring walks. I'm like, they might have missed out by a little bit, but they probably timed that absolutely spot on. Because the good thing about watching it on Fight is it stays in picture. You don't have adverts. So on TV, you can probably get away with it more because that picture in picture is live in the States. It's going to adverts. So people aren't probably paying attention. But I literally, as soon as the bell went, I paused my app straight away. So I knew 33:22, I think it was.
Thereabouts, definitely.
They got it pretty much spot on. And for me, it was a perfect ending. Adam Cole still looked good. But MJF, obviously, now he doesn't have to Cole doesn't get a title shot. They're going to work it somehow. But we always say all the time, keep me invested in the story. And I was like, man, especially when Cole come on the mic and was like, I want 5 more minutes. And MJF, right, I don't know what you boys think. He gives me massive Rick Rude vibes.
I could.
Attitude and the way he is, you know what I mean? He's honestly, he'll go down as one of the best. I reckon he'll go down as one of the best heels. When he went into the crowd and slapped the kids' glasses off him, I could just see Tony Khan backstage going, oh my God, no, there's another kid we've got to have backstage and take some pictures.
Yeah, more compensation.
More compo. MJF's he's more than just a promo, isn't he?
He's a great. You can see what they don't. I know a lot of people compare him to Roman. Oh, he doesn't wrestle that much. But when's the last time Roman Reigns wrestled on SmackDown? End of John Cena, was it? The end of the year? Is that match?
I'm sure he wrestled before that. Maybe I don't know.
Might be, but to see like a one-on-one match, to see MJF open up Dynamite.
Yeah.
Maybe like AEW finally. It looks to me, and obviously you guys, you've watched a lot more AEW than me. I'm kind of coming back onto the scene, you know what I mean? I enjoy talking about it on shows. It's AEW seemed to me, and Dave you might know more than any of us. They kind of seem to be getting their mojo back. They had it during the COVID, we'll call it the COVID era. They had all their eyes on them.
Yeah.
Now they kind of, I know they've got Collision and CM Punk, so that's done its job. It's attracted people back to the product. But for me, they kind of seem to have got their mojo back. They're not doing so many in-ring promos. Their in-ring work and the matches are incredible. There wasn't one match on Dynamite when I went, oh, this is pretty boring. I had to watch it on the road today. So every time we pulled over, I had it on the Fight. There wasn't one match that you think, oh, I'll just quickly forward this a little bit. Not one in this whole event. So you might know better than me, but it seems to me they've got something back. There's a spark that's been reignited.
Absolutely. It definitely feels like some of that old magic has returned. In terms of the last few months, they've just had so much going on. I'm not making excuses for them. But, they've had all the Punk stuff off the back of All Out. And then they've had the Collision news, the Nepta TV deal, All In, All Out, Forbidden Door.
And all about, great minds.
Nice. But it's been, even Forbidden Door, it seems to me, those 2 matches that were announced last week were sensational. But now it seems as if there's not too much build. The matches are just being announced. And I think ideally they'd like to have longer build towards Forbidden Door, but they've had so much going on. But Tony Khan seems to be learning. He seems to be delegating. He seems to be getting more people on side, like Adam said, in creative. So hopefully that starts paying off, and it seemingly already has.
And they're giving wrestling fans wrestling, which I love.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We watch Raw, we watch SmackDown, we break it down, we talk about it. But the MJF match and Adam Cole match probably went on nearly as long as all the matches combined on Raw.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an alternative product to WWE, I think. You know, and there's no problem with people liking both or liking one more than the other.
Well, don't get people started on Twitter again.
Well,
Adam, if Adam had hair, it'd be falling out. I've seen some of the stuff going on Twitter. Oh my God.
I watched Raw this week. Obviously, in your absence, Andy, I watched Raw, and I really enjoyed it. I've got to admit, you know, I'm a big AEW fan. I enjoyed it, but it was absolutely nothing like Dynamite last night. So I enjoyed both, and there were totally different shows, both wrestling, but just a different way of doing things and a different way of providing the entertainment. So I think so far so good this week, and with Collision launching on Saturday, hopefully it's only going to get better. We got Roman on SmackDown as well, so
yeah,
it's a big week this week.
Yeah,
big week. So next up, well, we heard a bit from Punk, and he's got things to say on Collision. That's going to be an interesting stuff. You know, that's going to start it now. So I think we was at Wyman and Arwen last week, because his match was announced, would CM Punk even start the show, because he didn't need to, because everyone knew he was going to be there, and everyone knows he's going to be in the main event. But it certainly sounds like we're going to hear from Pepsi Boy on Saturday.
All right, Bum.
Yeah, and we'll see what he says. Guevara out next. Baby basically wants to get back onto the grind. Darby Allin comes out. Chris Jericho comes out. Tony Schiavone's favorite wrestler comes out, which is Sting. Basically, Guevara doesn't leave with Jericho at this point. So is that, and then they've also teased Jericho and Sting. Now we also know that Sting potentially is looking for a retirement match. Jericho came out last week and kind of said he wasn't interested. But is that where we're looking at after this week, Dave, do you think?
Possibly, yeah. I did see that tweet last week, and it did make me a little bit suspicious as to why he would say that, because it was a little bit, he said not interested, didn't he? That was his. And with his backstage responsibility, I think that was in character. You know, I think that is potentially going to lead to some. I certainly think there's going to be a tag match, and Sammy Guevara might have to make his decision. He got a very mixed reaction, didn't he? There was definitely cheers. There was some boos for him, but that plays nicely into the story, really, with him, you know, being on the fence as to which way to go with his career.
I think I think him and Jericho have got to have a spat.
I wasn't sure about Jericho's high heels.
I thought he was going on Strictly.
Mind you, Seth Rollins on Monday looked like he just come out of Cat Slater's wardrobe.
The only thing with Sting and Jericho, I hope they don't, if it is going to be at Wembley, the only one thing I hope they don't do is build it as a loser retires match, because then you kind of already know that Sting wants to retire. I hope they build it as some kind of legend, legacy kind of thing, because, you know, we all know that Sting's protect one, maybe two matches left at max, but I think he'll be the perfect person. Like you guys said earlier, AEW will want him backstage. They maybe could have him as an on-screen kind of managery thing, but then I don't know if that works, because then how do you not get him involved? But someone like him backstage in your company, that's win-win for me. So his wrestling mind, his creative genius, you know, just him as a person that's been involved in the industry, keep him around. That's the only thing. He might just want to cut ties and be done with wrestling altogether. I pray to God Tony Khan's already sat him down and said, look, if you want to go, but can we have you on like a Wednesday and a Saturday, and can we just have your mind, basically?
What I would really like from this, if they are going to go with Sting Jericho for a one-on-one match, which I'm not sure about. Sting hasn't had a one-on-one match since he faced Seth Rollins.
No, he hasn't. No.
We all know how that ended.
Tags, and he's had trios matches. I would love them to, if they're going to go that way, to bring some of history up in terms of the WCW stuff. You know, Sting was this big star. Jericho never got an opportunity to be one of the top guys in WCW, and they built this resentment. And if they do something like that, it could be really interesting. And the poster for All In, if you've got Sting and Jericho, that is a big match, isn't it? You know, those are recognizable names, not necessarily household names, but anybody with a vague interest in wrestling knows Sting and Chris Jericho.
Yeah,
Mm,
and I think
yeah.
it'll be more of an old school type match. Do you know, like the Sting and Flair matches used to be on Nitro? I've got a sense of that kind of being the way, and maybe even like a dodgy little heel. So if Jericho's going to win, it might even be an good old cheat job like Flair used to try and do back in WCW days. Potentially, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out.
Jericho's teased retirement in the past, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he'll
He
be a
had
commentator
retirement
after this one. He'll be a commentator.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
He won't go anywhere. He won't go anywhere anytime soon, I don't think. But he has teased it. Yes. Anyway, the next match, Mogul Embassy. That is right, isn't it, Dave?
That's right.
I'm leaning on you for a lot of this stuff. Versus Sting, Cassidy, Darby, and Keith Lee. Felt like it was just a match for the sake of having a match, but the crowd are into it.
Yeah.
There's really good spots in there. I'm not too sure about the orange punch at the end to Brian Cage.
He missed it by a mile.
That was more like a tip punch than it was a face punch, but he dropped him into the Scorpion Deathlock, Scorpion Death drop, sorry, fucking lock, a drop. And 1, 2, 3, the faces rotate. It was quick, but I think we can understand that there's going to be quite a few quick matches. You've had a half an hour one. The end match is long, so you need these quick matches in between. But all in all, Dave and Andy, a really fun little 8-man tag to sort of keep that crowd momentum hot going into it. And anytime Darby and Orange comes out, you always get that buzz from the crowd anyway, don't you?
Yeah, it was a fun little match, really. You know, a lot going on with the multi-man. The crowd loved it, as you say. And there's some nice little bits and pieces in there. As you say, with how long the first match went, you've still got to get a lot into the show. So I think this kind of served its purpose.
Yeah, it was good. High intensity. I loved it. I thought it was a really, really good match. Sting got his spots. You know what I mean? They got to limit him and what he can do. But Stinger Splash, like you say, the finisher, I thought it was a really, really good match. Like you say, what you want is to keep that crowd hot after you've just done something like that. You don't want to just bring them way back down to earth. And AEW, I've always said this, their high flyer matches, probably the best in the business for me.
Yeah. No, definitely. They absolutely are. The Guns challenge the Hardys next week.
The best brothers.
Sorry?
The best brothers, they kind of... That's how they angled it, wasn't it? They want to be the best brothers in wrestling, or they think they are. So.
I'm a little skeptical about that one next week, but we will take it with a pinch of salt for now because it hasn't happened yet.
I'm a bit disappointed that there's no explanation really as to the Bullet Club Gold stuff last week.
Yeah.
You know, so hopefully they'll circle back to that. But
yeah, in about 9 months. No.
that was with Juice and Jay. Well, they've moved to Collision though. I mean, I know it's not necessarily a hard split, but they're on Collision going forward, aren't they?
Looks like it, yeah.
Is that a thing, Dave? Obviously, and part of my ignorance, if I'm being completely stupid here, is it going to kind of be a roster split with Collision and obviously Dynamite? I know Rampage is obviously filmed the same night as Dynamite, but is it going to kind of what we see in WWE is in like the roster splits?
Well, he doesn't want to do an official roster split and say these guys are only on Dynamite, these guys are only on Collision.
Because obviously CM Punk's going to be on everything, isn't he? Surely.
I thought so. Well, what he definitely wants, and in the recent interview he did, he's going to have some guys that are pretty much exclusive, and you'll see them on Dynamite, some on Collision, but they can cross over if the storyline, allows for it, or if they're in the middle of a big feud, then people will be going back and forth. But there will be a bit of a core on each side.
Okay.
So it's not going to be a hard split. It's not. I don't know even if
I suppose it's going to benefit, like you say, like there's already talent announced for Collision that we haven't seen for ages. So it can only benefit the roster that they've got. That they're going to, a lot of people's going to get TV time, because ones that have been kind of jobbed out to Ring of Honor, no one. I mean, apparently I'm hearing their ratings. One man and his dog watching that. From what I'm hearing.
Well, with Dynamite, with AEW in general, he signed a lot of top talent. He had a good roster to begin with. He signed a lot of ex-WWE guys. And there just hasn't been enough time on the show to get everybody in.
How long's Collision? 2 hours?
2 hours, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So really now, with 4 hours of the A show, if you like, or 2 A shows, it should give everybody an opportunity to show what they can do.
Is Rampage kind of like a side little project now then? Because I think me and Adam were texting backwards and forwards earlier. They literally didn't mention Rampage to it. Dynamite was about to go off the air. You usually get it all night, don't you? Coming up this Friday on AEW Rampage, blah, 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 blah. Not one word, and so we're going to get to maybe why they didn't, because what they announced, but literally nothing about Rampage this Friday.
No, there was no other matches announced either. There's normally at least one announced on Dynamite until the absolute end, into which we'll get on to.
I just wasn't sure where they're thinking to go with Rampage, because obviously it's like, I think me and Adam were talking about this a couple of months ago. It's a long night for the wrestling fans because you've got Dynamite, then they film Rampage and stuff like that. I wasn't.
They do like they do one Ring of Honor hour 1.
That's it.
Dynamite, Rampage, Ring of Honor hour 2.
And you're like, man, that's so you're in that arena, what, 6 hours?
Yeah,
in the arena. So that's something that they might need to look at. I know you can't take Rampage. You can't do Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Obviously, Raw and SmackDown are on the road. That's the only thing for me that they might need to. I hope Rampage just doesn't. It becomes like AEW Dark kind of thing, or WWE Superstars, that kind of thing. Because at the minute, everyone's talking Dynamite and Collision. Rampage kind of seems to have been. But that may be what they want to do. Maybe they just want Rampage as kind of an hour long, not a filler show, but quick matches. Progress some storylines, and that will lead into Saturday at Collision. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what Rampage has been missing. It's had some great matches. 2 weeks ago, it was brilliant.
Awesome.
So yeah, I hope he doesn't get lost in the shuffle on the same Monday.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, obviously. Next on the list, Wardlow and Hager. Another open challenge. Again, time constraints here, we know, obviously, and we know the reasons why, so we can't really complain. Would have liked this another 10 minutes because I do like Jake Hager. There's something about him. I'm not sure about the hat, but there's something about him. Like Wardlow again, but we know with Wardlow, I get this sense of, I know that he had a longish match with Cody Rhodes in the cage once. I just don't know whether, and he's had a couple of long matches. I would like to see him tested in a long-winded environment with somebody, don't know who. But anyway, Wardlow gets the pin with the power bomb. It was just two big dudes hitting each other, wasn't it? Really.
I didn't like this.
No, I will go back.
I don't want to rant.
No. Oh, yes, you do.
I do want to rant.
The only reason I'm here.
Yeah. So hold on. Let's just.
Did anybody really think that Jake Hager was going to win?
No,
I don't think anybody was.
Was it for the title? Did they?
Yes.
Did they say it was for the title? I thought that. Yeah, I thought it was.
So wouldn't it have been better to do it more as an eliminator? So if Jake won, he got a title shot. So you're a little bit more, or maybe he's going to get a win. Maybe something's going to happen, and then he'll get a shot. I just thought it was very, very predictable. I can't get behind Wardlow's TNT title run. I can't. I want to. I like Wardlow, but I just don't think his TNT title run has done anything for him or for the belt.
I think he's lost in the shuffle a bit. I do like you said earlier, Dave, with Rampage.
Yeah.
I think Wardlow's in that kind of, they're not quite sure. He's the perfect Vince McMahon dude for me. Big dude. Yeah. If you think like 80s and 90s wrestler, big dude, jacked up. You know what I mean? He'd be perfect in WWE if Vince McMahon was still, if we were going back 10, 15 years. But as for AEW, I'm with you. I like him, actually. I think he's got great potential. But this TNT title, obviously, it's been, passed around more than Katie Price. But it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't think they know what to do. You're right. I don't think they know what to do with it. No. They need to give it some credit because when it first came on, it was quite a relevant title and it was new to AEW and it was a new belt. But then they had all these other titles come in and, Wardlow, when he had the old MJF thing going on and CM Punk, great storyline. I think Wardlow, unfortunately, has been kind of lost in that. MJF has gone that way, Punk's gone that way and come back. And, he's still, I think he's just got lost in the shake-up. He doesn't need to reinvent himself. He just needs that one feud that's going to give him a spark.
I actually think he'd be better off without the title as well.
He'll probably lose it next week, mate. Don't worry.
I don't think he necessarily needs it because he's always the favourite, so it's very hard to get behind his challengers. And like when he lost to Hobbs, it was like interference and stuff like that. So you're never going to get a match that's really competitive that could go one way or the other. You're going to think Powerbomb Symphony, Wardlow retains. So yeah, I'm not a fan of this. Sorry.
No, well,
sorry to complain.
You don't have to. You don't have to be a fan of everything. Backstage, there was some audio problems at this point. From
Christian was just like miming, wasn't he?
yeah,
Christian, yeah.
like someone had his hand up his ass, and he was like, "Woo!" But anyway, long story short, looks like they beat the living crap out of Arn Anderson. A lot better than they did Arn Anderson's son the other week, Dave. When you heard all that calamity in the dressing room, you opened the door and he's just basically asleep. He's obviously busted him open. There's another challenge that's been issued. I'm assuming Luchasaurus this time, Dave's gonna.
There's going to be the match against Luchasaurus. How that plays into the Brock Anderson stuff, I'm not too sure. I thought the timing on this was a little bit suspect, but that probably because of the overall show and, as you say, the big main event and the opening match. But Arn was there 1 minute and then he was in some boiler room or something the next minute with his head bleeding.
throwing down a set of stairs.
Yeah, so I guess he got there so quick. But I think he's
he hasn't moved that far since the 80s, I don't think.
Exactly.
Certainly hasn't. Next on the list, there was 2 Forbidden Doors. So here we go. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Dave.
Tanahashi.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've got that one.
You're close, yeah.
Challenged MJF.
The Ace. Call him the Ace. That's easier.
Perfect. Ace. That'll do. Challenged MJF. MJF basically said he's no show in it. Zack Sabre Jr. and Garcia were at the back. Garcia challenges Shibata.
Shibata, yeah.
Shibata, fuck's sake. For the
I had one of them for lunch.
Chip Batter. Chip Batter. Yeah. Making his debut.
Shibata making his debut for AEW. For the Pure Championship, Cassidy said that he's not here this week, but they will see him next week. So I'm assuming, they're basically, well, not even Forbidden Door. It's going to be Cassidy and
next week tag team.
Next week, which
I like seeing Zack Sabre Jr. on Dynamite. I liked him calling Orange Cassidy Orange Bollocks as well. I popped for that.
Orange Bollocks, yeah, that was bad. that was brilliant. That match next week should actually be really good. Just quickly, anything with Zack Sabre Jr. in and Garcia, because Garcia's fucking incredible.
Garcia can go, mate.
Oh, mate, he is something else. Anyway, let's just move on quickly. Women's title time. And again, I don't think there was anyone in the world that would think Sky Blue is going to win this match against Storm. She didn't, obviously.
It was a good near fall.
Yeah, it was a good near fall. Again, time because start and because of the end. The only thing I've been seeing recently, this did come on social media this week, is that the women's matches on Dynamite haven't been given the time, really. And I think we've said this over the last 3 weeks, Dave, that, if they only had another 10 minutes, I was just getting good and then it ended.
Yeah.
Andy, I mean, you've only been watching it recently. Women's matches on it have really they just need like 10, 15 minutes more.
Yeah, I mean, this match, like I said, I haven't been watching it loads. Obviously, I'm back in watching AEW now, mainly because I've been listening to you guys. I'm like, well, this podcast is so good. I actually want to actually watch this. I thought it was a good match, but yeah, I had to 100% agree with you, mate. I think they could have gone a little bit longer, but again, like Dave said earlier, with the start and the end that we're going to get to in a little bit, that's probably why. I mean, that's where maybe you can use a Rampage to your benefit.
Yeah,
give the women some more time, highlight them some more. I'm not saying make it a completely women's card, but you could use Rampage as a springboard to say, like, look, here you go, you've got 20 minutes on Rampage, 25, put them in a main event or something like that. Give them something. I'm not saying, I don't mean that as pity, but you're not going to get the time on Dynamite, and we don't know about Collision yet, but I'm assuming that's kind of going to run the same. I'm going to be interested with what Collision. Does it just feed into next Saturday on Collision, or does it feed into the Wednesday night? That's the dynamic I'm going to get. And the women might, again, we can use that term a lot tonight, lost in the shuffle. They might, for me, Rampage could be one. But yeah, the match on Dynamite yesterday, it was usually women's matches on Dynamite. I'm like, right, well, toilet break. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, really good. I just think they tried to get too much on this week. I think if they'd have just dropped the Hager Wardlow match, that would have allowed time for the other matches. The women would have got a bit longer. The 8-man could have got a bit
Paquette
longer.
Backstage every 10 seconds interviewing the world and his wife.
Right,
yeah. I kind of admire them in a sense to try and get so much in, but sometimes the pacing of the show really suffers, and you don't have time to kind of digest what's just happened.
That picture-in-picture on Fight
straight
TV is good, though. That's where that picture-in-picture is so good. Because obviously, when you watch it on whatever you watch it on, especially ITV over here, for those that watching this, that watching ITV, Fight TV for $6.99 a month is so worth it. Just because you literally, it's 2 hours, bang, 2 hours solid. I don't get no adverts. It's picture-in-picture. I love that when they go, well, we're now continues in picture-in-picture. And you do get a lot more of the action. So, I'm not working for Fight TV or anything, but if anyone wants to see just a little bit more wrestling, pay $6.99 a month.
Yeah. Definitely. I was going to say, I can't remember what wrestler told us this when we was on. You just mentioned that they're trying to cram in. Maybe Andy, you remember, he said the words "less was more." I can't remember who it was.
Cardona, wasn't it?
Maybe Cardona. It might.
I think it was Cardona, wasn't it?
But anyway, he said it was less than. He said it was less. Less is more, which is true. Probably the most the funniest match that's been announced for Forbidden Door. Jungle Boy is accepting Sanada's challenge. Now, this is literally like my 8-year-old son going in there and saying, "I'll have you, Sanada." He's probably got bigger bollocks than Jungle Boy, to be honest. He probably talks a lot deeper than what he does on the mic, and probably wouldn't bore you to sleep as much as Jungle Boy. Anyway, enough of Jungle Boy. This is going to be, it'd probably be a lot better than what it sounds like. But I mean, they could have done better, Dave, couldn't they? Than that?
Well, it's that believability again. Does anybody think that Jungle Boy is going to beat Sanada for the title? Probably not. So they'll go out and they'll have a good match. But I want to go into a title match where it could go either way. You're on the edge of your seat. With every move, who's going to get the advantage. With this, I'm going to be sat there just waiting for Sanada to pin him, and I don't like that. So they're obviously high on Jungle Boy, and he's a great wrestler, but he's not a main event star, and that was shown in the feud leading up to Double or Nothing. He's not there yet, and I'm not saying he won't be one day, but right now at this stage in his career, he should be going for the TNT title, and he's a mid-carder essentially. I think he'll have a good match with Hook. We were talking before we started recording about the dynamic with Hook and the potential match there. That's where Jungle Boy is for me, and that's not I'm not knocking him. He's been put in this position that he's not really ready for. That's my opinion. I don't know if you agree, And.
I'm with you, mate. Forbidden Door for me is going to be full of great wrestling matches, but no storylines are going to get moved on. This is one of them. I was scrolling through Twitter this afternoon, and everyone was like, "Of all the wrestlers you could have put in this match, you could have made some absolute classics here." And you put John. There's obviously a reason behind it, but he's going to turn on Hook. I think he'll be at he's asked him to be in his corner. I think he'll be at Forbidden Door. That's the storyline that's going to be set up moving forward. It's going to be Hook and Jungle Boy. By the looks of it, I think somehow Hook will try and do something to help Jungle Boy to win the match. It won't happen. That'll be the turn. That'll kick off on Dynamite next week. But I'm with Dave. I mean, when I first started watching AEW, he was one of the new names that I'd never really heard of. And some of the matches we were in, he was like Darby Allin to me. I was like, this guy's going to get himself killed. It was good then, but now you're kind of like, I want to see something from you. You're not, this title match for me, like Dave said, we all know no titles are changing hands at this event, so it's just a kind of a
I'd have just gone Hangman Sanada.
Yeah,
that'd be a great match.
Tore the house down.
Hangman's a former AEW World Champion. That for me would have more intrigue than the match that's been made, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe when Jungle Boy comes off the breast and goes on to solids, he'll be all right. Anyway, main event time.
There's this week's YouTube short.
Yeah, there you go, man. Main event time. I said this at the start. I say again. Holy shit balls!
This was awesome.
This was literally quote Andy. It was incredible.
I watched it twice. I finished watching it, and I was like, "There's so much happened there," and it was so good. The match and the aftermath. I went back on Fight TV and I watched the whole segment again. I thought it was, and I don't do that very often. That was how good I thought it was.
It literally had everything. We're not going to go into the whole match, but the Hung Bucks, as they're called with Adam Page, gets the win. That isn't even the gist of the story. After all of that, the beatdown continues. Claudio and Page are in the middle of the ring. Eddie Kingston comes back. and starts brawling with Claudio. Andy, you said Eddie Kingston was like, just come out the pub.
Honestly, looks like me after a night out down the boozer.
But
I think that's why people like him.
I
though,
liked
is
his
that
T-shirt. I've got to
relatability.
get that T-shirt. It had my daughter's name on it. Was it Lois?
Yeah, Lois,
Falls, I say, yeah. As soon as I saw that, I was like, please sell that. AEW.
The only thing, and this has been really picky here, and I said this to you, Andy, on a text, is that, and they should have probably done this the other side on the hard cam so you couldn't see it. But when Eddie and Claudio started going off on one, Moxley sort of jogs round to one of the Young Bucks and sort of talks to him in his ear, and he nods.
Tells him his
say,
spot,
I've got it.
yeah.
Anyway,
I didn't say that.
Hey,
but
That went
yeah.
viral as well. There's some. That's to be fair, and Adam makes a great point. This is the only thing, and obviously I've been in hospital, but I've still been on social media, seeing what's going on. It's the only thing I don't like about wrestling Twitter. Bearing in mind, we've just had one of the best Dynamites I think they've ever done.
Yeah.
All that I've seen this afternoon is these idiots going backwards and forwards about what Adam just spoke about, the Moxley and the Young Bucks just talking to each other on the side of the ring. Could you imagine every week? And if you watch wrestling as long as I know Adam has and Dave, I know you have, if a spot went viral like this one did every week where wrestlers are talking and communicating to each other, how do you think they put on a fucking match? Yes, it might be AEW's production fault. It might be Mox's fault, where the hard cam was. But for this to go as viral as it's gone today, and all these, and don't go, I'm a WWE guy. You cut me open, I'll bleed WWE, but all these WWE fans jump in on it going, oh, look at AEW, Mox is caught it. I was like, come on, have you not seen some of the stuff that all wrestling promotions do? But this to go as viral as it has, I'm like, come on, man, we've just had one of the best non-pay-per-view shows of the year, in my opinion. And this is what people want to, WWE and AEW fans going. It was like Adam and that dude a couple of weeks ago on Twitter, just coming back. It's like, just enjoy wrestling for wrestling. This was probably the best show of 2023 so far. And I'm speaking as a WWE guy, and I'm talking Raw, so I'm not talking pay-per-views. This, for me, was one of the best shows of 2023 so far. And that is what people are talking about. You're like, come on, this main event was one of the best main events of 2023.
Yeah.
Anyway, rant over. Sorry, I didn't mean to rant, Dave. I know that's
there was so much in this match in terms of move. I mean, that shooting star press off the apron. I mean, the moonsault off the top. There was so much to go viral. It's disappointing that people have kind of honed in on that, as you say, Andy.
Anyway, the interesting point here was when Moxley come in the ring after after Kingston had smacked Claudio one, was they didn't touch. They didn't fight. Moxley and Claudio, they went for
Moxley and Kingston.
Moxley and Kingston, they're friends, aren't they?
Yes, they were. I call them frenemies. But yeah, you're right. At the moment, so they hadn't hit each other. There was a bit of a push, and then Kingston kind of done his little laugh as he does, and then Omega comes back, and he starts clearing the ring. Oh no, I was wrong. I apologize.
You're trying to get out of saying his name, aren't you?
I was trying to get out of saying his name.
I was literally waiting for him to say it.
Takeshita, come out.
No, mate. No. Takeshita.
Thank you. Comes out.
What did he say? Take a shitter.
Yes. So anyway, he comes out and he starts beating up Kingston. Then Kenny Omega comes out, and then he goes for a Takeshita, and then
YouTube shorts everywhere in this episode.
Then the Elite are literally super kicking everyone, crowd, bloody referees, bears, anything that walks. And as soon as Omega lines up for the V trigger, we ain't finished yet with people coming out. Here comes Will Ospreay.
Oh, mate.
To put the cream on the bloody cake. I actually messaged him. I private messaged him on Twitter and was like, bruv, what fucking ending? And he was like, cheers, boss. Anyway, but I mean, Jesus Christ. Where are we going from here, Dave? Are we Forbidden Door, and is this blood and guts? Is this something else? What are they going to do?
Wembley Stadium, mate.
I've got to say, in wrestling in the past few years, the Bloodline story over in the WWE has been phenomenal, and it's probably been the best long-term storytelling. But what they've done here with the BCC and the Elite, and even when Moxley and Hangman were fighting at the start, I was like, I want more of this, and this is how it all began, months and months ago. So I think they've really done a great job of developing this story, of adding elements, adding people, adding returns, having that moment with Kingston and Moxley. That's just another example of something that they've introduced to this story and how that will play in, because obviously Kingston's got a big problem with Claudio. And
yes.
yeah, Claudio is side by side with Mox in the BCC. So this long-term story has been great. And now you're adding Will Ospreay, you are thinking 5-on-5, perhaps. You're thinking blood and guts. You're thinking maybe
Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
Stadium Stampede.
I'm thinking
Stampede.
Wembley Stadium, mate. That they've planted the seed early.
Yeah. Whatever they do, I'm sure it'll be great, and I'm looking forward to it. But
anytime you get to see Will Ospreay in a wrestling ring,
I've never seen him wrestle. Like, I've never been there watching.
Yeah.
I even said to him I messaged him back, and I was like, I've never seen you wrestle live, and I begged to Christ he was coming to be at All In.
Yeah,
he'll be there.
I think so.
He'll be there.
I think so. Zack Sabre Jr. and Ospreay, I think they'll both be there, and they'll feature more on Dynamite in the next in the running, basically, to All In.
Ospreay did say he's there next week.
Yeah.
On his Twitter feed.
He's wrestling on Rampage. I didn't.
Yeah.
I was very tempted.
Late, didn't they?
Well, I was tempted because Rampage is obviously recorded and it's not live. This week, I was really tempted to read the results, but I've refrained from doing that. But yeah, he's wrestling on Rampage, so it'd be interesting to see if they pick up the story again or whether it'll just be a match. But obviously,
sorry to disappoint you, and without spoiling the result, it is not against anybody that you would think, like, as in any one of them.
Yeah.
It is a random free.
More of an exhibition
it's
match.
It's a 6-man.
Oh, okay.
United Empire.
Oh, he's
yes.
Is he back?
Yes.
Davis, is it?
Davis,
Mark Davis. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought he was out long term.
Yeah, so no, but they had a match this week.
Oh, okay.
It was in a 6-man. Is
Gotcha.
it who's Romero? What's his team called?
Rocky
again?
Romero, Chaos.
That's it. Him and Trent and
Chuck.
Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
So I'm not going to spoil the match, but I'm just going to say that. But we do get, Dave, the match you're really looking forward to on Rampage this week. The match you can't wait for on Rampage this week. Papa Briscoe. Mark Briscoe.
Oh, yeah.
All 3 Edwards against
they did. Yeah, I'd forgot about this. Yeah. I don't look, some of the bits with what they've done with Lethal and Dutt and Jarrett and Satnam, they've done some pretty entertaining stuff. You know, that stuff on the farm a few weeks ago that was just so silly, but so funny, and it was entertaining. So I don't know what they've got lined up with Papa Briscoe. I hope it's a one and done. Hopefully it provides a bit of entertainment, but this isn't really for me. This isn't really for me at all. I would rather see Jay Lethal in a one-on-one match. Yeah. I'd rather see Jay Lethal, in some kind of competitive match against Penta or Ray Phoenix, or that's where I see him.
Yeah.
Jarrett, he does a lot backstage, and he's in good shape and he's capable of good matches still. But I just don't know. I don't know how they thought this was a good idea. To bring Mark Briscoe's dad in and a referee. Yeah. Not for me, this no, I can understand any criticism out there for this. And I'm a hardcore, I'm a hardcore AEW.
Yeah, no, but you are a bit like us. You're very
I have to be honest, and I can't be biased, and I can't just put the blinkers on and say everything's fantastic.
Yeah.
If there's criticism, sometimes it's over the top and it's a little bit harsh. But in terms of this, I could totally understand. I mean, who's going to think I've got to catch this on Rampage next week? Maybe there'll be more eyes on it because there were Ospreys on it, but that's what you want. United Empire on Rampage this week, bang. You don't want to see Aubrey Edwards wrestling, do you? But we'll see. Maybe
she can count her own pinfall.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully I'm going to be pleasantly surprised, and I'm going to watch Rampage, and I'm going to be like, I was wrong, but I'm not sure.
No, I wouldn't think so. Anyway, the Rampage ratings will be interesting this week. It was like under 300,000 last week, so we'll be interested to see. Anyway, chaps, that was AEW. But we're not stopping there. We've got a busy couple of days. We've got the top 10 tomorrow coming out. The entrance music. Oh, that was controversial, wasn't it, Dave? Are you still suffering from that? Wait until you see who Dave has at number 7.
He's lucky he's still got a job.
That'll be going out. We've got some more top 10s coming. We was literally having a battle today about what top 10s can we do. We'll put some out there on the Twitter so you guys can get ready for some more top 10s and who you think or what we could have managers. We've said heels. We said bloody pay-per-views. Christ knows what else. Everything and everything. Basically, we could do a top 10 for. We will. Maybe the top 10 table breaks.
The Dudleys should be in most of them.
Yeah, I know. Maybe the May Young.
Yeah, maybe
but
the
anyway,
May Young
yeah, exactly that. Anyway, this has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Dynamite Dave, DMD. Our leader, Andy Burrows, is back, and Adam C. Baby. We will see you all soon. Buckle down and stay safe.